This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WPSL. However, we are the culprits who encourage you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce now presents Joanne's World of Nutrition with your host, Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having an incredible morning. So we have another exciting show for you this week. I have a friend that's going to join me this morning, my friend Buddy. Good morning, Buddy.
Good morning, Joanne.
He's on Zoom, so I'm just saying hi to a screen. It's so weird.
Right.
So weird. But you're so close, but yet so far.
It's true.
All right. So Cliff, I just need you to raise my volume a little bit. I can't hear him too much. So I really want to hear him. So
Okay,
there we go. Okay, wonderful. All right, Buddy, say something so I can make sure I can hear you good.
It's great to see you.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Now I can hear you. Wonderful. I saw your lips moving, but I couldn't hear anything.
I
We
got
have a lot of sensitive ears in the station here, so they
Yeah,
keep all the
I'm
volumes
really good, but not that good. I can't read lips. All right. All right. Good morning, Buddy. So, Buddy, before we do a formal intro, we must do breath work. I really need it this morning. Okay. So we're going to exhale out any negativity, drama, stress, tension, anything that doesn't belong. And
Should I do this during a panic attack?
how about to prevent one? That's even better. But okay, yeah, sure.
Oh.
Do it during as
That
well.
would probably be the thing to do then. Okay. All right.
That's a real random question. I feel like you need the breath work too.
Yeah.
All right. So let's exhale out, everyone. And we're going to inhale using our nose for 5 in, hold for 5, out for 5. And let's just do 2 rounds. That way
Okay.
we can get right into it.
2 rounds.
All right. So ready, Buddy?
Let's release
All right.
all
Release.
negativity. Let it go. Now begin in
Okay.
through your nostrils. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release.
I was gonna say, did you tell us to release?
Yeah, no, you intook. That was 5
See, Buddy, I
seconds.
told you I needed some breath work.
Hey,
Yeah, we all do. We all do.
All right. So, Buddy, thank you for joining us this morning. I really appreciate you spending some time with the show. And I'm really excited for our listeners. Hopefully we have some newbies on that can enjoy as well. And we're going to just let you take a couple minutes and just tell our listeners, in case they missed the first time you were on with us, about your background and what brought you to the show this morning.
So I guess I've never wanted to be a doctor, but I've always been interested in nutrition. And back in the day, I'd be dating myself, but I'm thinking of 1993, 1994. There was a station on in the Boca area. I think it's still probably on that had guests like nutritionists and herbalists. And it was fascinating what they were talking about. I'm like, whoa. And to me, I thought, man, I can actually affect my body. Like I don't have to be subject to, let's say a panic attack or subject to the stress or subject to not being able to sleep well. I can actually do things, whether it's taking a supplement, whether it's meditating, whether it's breath work. And I just found that fascinating. Like that control that I can then bring back in was to me inspiring. And so I kept listening. And then eventually I applied for a job at a local supermarket. If I mention the name, you would certainly know it's a big chain now, and worked there for several years. I did a radio show on that same station. I did a health talk show on that same station. And then one thing led to another. And I said, I need to have actual study, not just what I read from books or what I get taught in product trainings from educators that come to the store. And so I embarked on it was a 2.5-year course. I took 3 years. I took a sabbatical. It was a little tough. Nutrition, the diploma, not college, but it was more of wouldn't say even vocational, but it's American Health Science Institute out of Colorado. I think now that they're probably no longer around, but I learned a lot, right? And to me, it was never about charging people for my advice. It was more for me to learn. And then if I was working at the store, that I could share information that was more factual, not just based on a product. And that then led me to work as an educator for several companies. And here I am today, independent educator, working for a couple of great companies in Probiotics and Hemp Fusion. And, I met you on the West Coast of Florida in my capacity as, an educator for one of those companies. And then now, of course, you've got your own thing here in the Fort Pierce area. And the 30 years that you've been doing this, I think, I don't mean
38 now, buddy.
38?
38 years now.
38, okay. So we're not going to say how old.
I feel a little old.
You don't look 38.
We both started when we were 5.
That's
so
right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But you are a blessing to the community. And I listen and I watch every now and then, not all the time, but I listen and watch. And the clips that come up for me with regard to what you're talking about. And you're a blessing to the community. And certainly the Wellness Center is a blessing. So kudos to you for doing what you do.
Thank you so much. And, I did go through some formal dietetics program back in those days, right? And I have to say that the Colorado program that you went through, and there are similar programs that are still available today, they definitely teach more of what I call hands-on accurate nutrition than what I went through. What I went through, which unfortunately they're still teaching today in most of the universities, is dietetics based on, a calorie is a calorie still, an energy unit. And nothing I apply today to help my customers was from my schooling. None of it really. I mean, it's really, so I applaud you because I know those courses are hard. I actually just finished one myself. And I really went into it like, oh, I'm just going to do it to get the piece of paper. I know all the stuff they're going to teach me. And every night I was like, whew, okay, this is a little alarming that I thought I knew a lot, but yeah, I didn't know anything.
Especially what you do for a living throughout the day, right? That's what I dealt with. I was in the store throughout the day. And then at home, it seemed like I had to continue work because I had another 3 hours of study. So it's like,
I know it's up to 11 o'clock at night getting it done, but I just finished 2 weeks ago. Woo-hoo, yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
So, all right. So now I haven't had the conversation on the radio about hemp in a long time. I felt like that it was a little bit like the COVID conversation. God, I don't want to put those two together, but some people were putting the CBD and Delta 8 and all these other things lumped into the hemp conversation. So I thought I wanted to give it some time. But then when I had the opportunity to have you on, I was like, okay, I can trust Buddy to really educate my listeners on what hemp is, what is clean products, what are clean gummies. And so that's why I have you on, because I trust you and I know you do have people's health first and foremost on your mind. So, and the company, of course, Hemp Fusion, I trust them as well. So I'm so glad you are educating for that company. And so we'll start with the first half of the show on that conversation, if that's okay with you, just helping my listeners. There's so much confusion now still between hemp and CBD and cannabinoids and what to use.
Yeah, true. And I think it is a blessing and a curse, right? Because go back 10 years, maybe 12 years, there was some rumblings of something called CBD oil, and it really helped. And for me, I'm like, I have no idea what that is because I wasn't with the company at the time. But because of the popularity, therein lies, as I mentioned, the blessing and the curse. So the popularity brings awareness, and that hopefully brings more companies of high quality and assurance to the market to produce and provide the material that people, the customers that come to your store are looking for. The problem is that you have everybody trying to jump in on that bandwagon, right? It's like, oh, it's an easy way to get money. It's an easy way to make money. And so you have these fly-by-night companies sometimes that come in, and then a year or so later they're out. So it's what I like to think is that the better companies continue to do what they're supposed to do, and I believe so. Even companies that are what we call our competitors, but we have great respect for them because they're doing it the right way. When it comes to this whole thing about hemp, so you got cannabis as the mother plant, and then you've got these daughter plants, cannabis marijuana and cannabis hemp. Essentially, in this very general rule of thumb, cannabis marijuana tends to have higher levels of something called THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. That's the stuff that makes you high, right? And no moral judgment here, whether some people believe it or not. That's not for discussion or dispute for us. But it is something that is on the radar of the DEA and governmental agencies. And so in some states, it's okay to sell marijuana because the states have allowed it. Other states, not so much. When you talk about cannabis hemp, it's the inverse, where you've got very low levels of THC, but wonderfully high levels of CBD, cannabidiol, and other minor cannabinoids. And I think what people do, once again, this is an evolution of the whole, interest in CBD. They start to look at one magic silver bullet as the answer to their problems. And I know, as you talk about so many different things for health, it's not just one thing, right? It's not just one immune support supplement. It's not just one probiotic strain. It's about incorporating as much as you can to live a healthier lifestyle. If you're wanting to live and handle your stress better, have stronger immune support, have less achy joints and muscles, it's not just this one thing, right? You incorporate exercise, diet, breath work, meditation, all that kind of stuff, and ideally some supplementation. But so people narrowed it down to just CBD from this wonderful cannabis hemp plant. CBD is the only thing I'm really interested in. And you have customers that do that. I'm sure they come to your store. They go, I heard CBD is good for me. My grandmother takes it. My coworker takes it. And it seems to work really well for sleep. So I want the highest level of CBD at the lowest price.
Yeah.
And as a retailer, you're challenged with you understand I have that, but it's not the whole picture. And so nature had it right the first time, which means that if you can capture without destroying the plant, if you can capture more of the constituents from the hemp plant, like other cannabinoids, CBC, something called cannabichromine, CBG, cannabigerol, which is considered a stem cell type of cannabinoid, which means it produces other phytocannabinoids in the body. If you can grab terpenes are aromatic qualities or compounds that you find in things like if you peel an orange, the smell of the rind, you're smelling terpenes. If you love the smell of lavender, you're smelling linalool. That's a primary terpene in there. If you love the smell of Christmas trees, there's something called alpha beta pinene.
Absolutely love it.
Right. So these terpenes are found in the plant as well. And then omegas, as in omega-3s and some really good omega-6s, are part of what the plant provides. So when I'm doing trainings later today on Zoom to retailers, and I try and remind them gently that, look, you sell CBD and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not unethical. It's not unsafe. But it's kind of like that conversation of, do I want to sell ascorbic acid, even if it's from an orange, like vitamin C from an orange, or would I rather sell the orange or other constituents naturally found in the orange? And the concept for us has always been that three-legged stool of cannabinoids, which of course CBD is one of them, along with other cannabinoids, terpenes, as many as we can grab, and omegas to deliver in our capsules, our liquid tinctures, our topicals, our gummies, because nature had it right the first time. So
Right.
that's our approach.
Yep. Don't mess with nature. It has it all figured out.
Right. Yeah.
So now how long has Hemp Fusion been in business?
2016, summer 2016. And the reason I remember that is because I started with the company, the sister company, Probulin, in May of that year. And I remember being told about that they were going to be launching Hemp Fusion. And the whole idea, the name Hemp Fusion, obviously we have hemp-derived constituents, but the fusion part comes in that we, in some formulations, we fuse together other really valuable nutraceuticals. Like we're going to talk about the sleep has GABA, and GABA is really, especially the pharma GABA form that we use, is known for relaxing the central nervous system, facilitating sleep. It's not going to make a 6-hour sleeper into a 9-hour sleeper, but it's going to have more profound effects on the individual. And some people actually, I know, take our sleep formula throughout the day because it chills them out. Like
okay. So if they feel like nervous tension or hyperness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not a sedative, right? Don't think of it as an Ambien or something along those lines that you're going to like doze out. Like, you know, you look like you have narcolepsy, that you doze out.
God forbid you have to pee in the middle of the night. You're like bouncing on walls.
Right, exactly. So the whole idea of hemp fusion is the fusion of nutraceuticals in some formulations along with the hemp-derived products, like we do at the gummies, like we put elderberry, and we'll talk about that as well.
Okay. So, you know, my friend Jason Mitchell, obviously, you know, Jason, that owns Hemp Fusion. Him and I go back, I think like 23 years. So I totally trust him. I mean, just like you, really has everyone's health first and foremost on his mind. And what I did wonder though, and again, I know you said at the beginning of this conversation that you chose as a company not to put the THC in. Okay. There are some customers that ask us flat out, are there health benefits I'm missing if there's no THC in there? Do you have a response to that?
That's a very good question. And it's not a complicated answer, but here's the thing. The reason initially, and this was, I'm talking about maybe 4 years ago, the legal landscape was vastly different than it is today. Remember, pre-2018, the hemp was still considered, you know, sketchy, whether you can grow it as a farmer and then utilize that for nutritional supplements. The Farm Act of 2018 then allowed the ability for hemp to be grown in areas like Kentucky, and I live in North Carolina, other areas of the country. So it freed up. I mean, still THC, you know, above a certain level, above a certain threshold, is still considered illegal in many states. But the thing was for us, it's legally, we want to produce a product that we are abiding by all FDA rules and regs, as well as the DEA. So back then, it wasn't that we didn't want to grab the THC, is that we were trying to do our sourcing and our extraction method to an extent that it fell below that legal limit. And by the way, the legal limit here in the United States and Canada, other places, 0.3% of THC as the dry weight material. In our most recent attempts for extraction, we do something we call panoramic extraction, which just really is more descriptive than an actual scientific process, but it's slower, gentler CO2 process. So it's just carbon dioxide that we just do it slower and gentler. We don't burn out the other constituents. We find in our certificates of analysis, right, the report card on the raw material and finished product, that THC level is even lower. It goes to 0.01%. Now, the idea being you want to do as low as possible for legal purposes, whether it is advantageous to contain THC, like if a formula has to have THC in order to be effective, there's some doubt. It doesn't mean that it wouldn't be more effective, but it doesn't mean that the exclusion of THC now makes the sleep formula, the stress formula, any CBD formula less effective. It's one of many other components, right, of the hemp plant. So I guess the short answer is it's not necessary to have THC. And until it becomes legal to have it at higher levels, you're going to see companies keep that well below, just to stay in business and, you know, stay off the FDA radar.
Well, and honestly, I am super sensitive to THC. And so if I do a product, even ones that are in the legal limits, I still feel like I feel it. So I prefer the THC-free formulas for the most part, especially if I'm going to use them during the day at work, to help with, tension or anxiety or anything. It's definitely, and I think too, there's so many uses for children and elderly that are so helpful. So it gives them a little peace of mind when it says THC-free as well. So you answered that perfectly, and I did just want everyone to hear that some people that are going to the shops, that have their cards here in Florida, feel like they're getting a better product just because it has these high THC amounts. And I really feel like, just like you said, when you do the CO2 extraction, naturally only a little bit's coming out. Like, to me, again, nature has the answers if you let it just do its thing.
Right.
Wonderful. Now, so we will go back to the sleep formula right now because I absolutely love it. I love it. And like I said, there are some nights that I'll take my melatonin with it. I take 5 milligrams. And I really do get a really nice deep sleep and don't have that grogginess in the morning. And again, if I have to use the restroom in the middle of the night, I'm not feeling stoopy or weird. But the GABA, out of all things, why did Jason choose the GABA out of all the different things that people are seeing online?
Sure. So here, so Jason, Dr. Jason Mitchell is a naturopathic physician. You know this. He's been in the industry. He was with another company for many years, formulated, I think it's close to 300 other formulas that people would recognize. But he's also very savvy when it comes to marketing. And since at the time, and still even now, but certainly at the time, 2016, you couldn't attribute any specific issue or remediation of an issue or mitigation of an issue if you just have, even if you had a full complement of cannabinoids, terpenes, and omegas. You notice our original formula says mind and body, like 5, 10, 20 milligram, mind and body. And it's just that, the cannabinoids from hemp, the terpenes that we still get in that case, in the pills and in the capsules, we still get from black pepper and clove, and then the omegas that we get from the hemp seed oil, as well as the sunflower seed oil. However, with his brilliance, he says, we can make a label claim and put on the label sleep if we put GABA in the formulation. Not only will it help the formulation, because GABA is one of those things that people, I don't know if they take it on a regular basis or not, but does have a profound effect on calming you down. If you're ready for sleep, GABA is ideal to facilitate that. So the ability to put sleep on the label came from the use of GABA, because there are claims you can make about that related to sleep. Just like our stress formula, the reason why we can call it that is because it's got ashwagandha. So really, it was a marketing attempt, but also in that marketing attempt, it's still advantageous to combine the two together. 100 milligrams of pharma GABA, that's what we use. 10 milligrams of the CBD and other cannabinoids, terpenes, and omegas. And sometimes people need 2 in the beginning, but I tell folks 1 to 2 on a regular basis, especially when it's difficult to fall asleep and or stay asleep, like you say, waking up several times a night, is ideal for many individuals. We here at the house, the missus and I, take it on a regular basis. I used to take it all the time when I traveled. Because of the pandemic, I don't travel as much, but it is really my mom, all right, who doesn't take a lot of pills. She's in Shelton, Connecticut. She's all of 81. She's still spry, goes to the gym. She says, honey, can you send me some sleep? And I'm like, okay.
I love it.
Because it works, right? So, yeah.
And if you get a good night's sleep, really your health improves in 100 different ways. So it's a really good thing. Well, that's a perfect explanation for that. All right. Now, I absolutely love the taste of the gummies. And I just, for a long time, I wouldn't let any gummies come into the store. I was like a gummy, I don't know what I was, but so why gummies, and how do you make them so delicious and healthy at the same time?
So the idea was, once again, trying to get into a space that was that people are really loving. And while liquid tinctures continue to be the biggest sales slice of the pie, right? So most people eat, it's interesting. I used to, when I worked at the health food store that I mentioned before, anything in a liquid form, I think of echinacea, kava, that people are like, no, give me a pill. I don't want the taste. When it comes to CBD, people are willing to withstand the herbal taste for the ability to dose up or dose down. You know, it says a dropper gives you this much. Let's say it's 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams. If they want to, on a particular day, double that, they can't with a dropper. If they want to take half of that, they can't because they're using the dropper. So, but the gummies are this rising segment. And so when I say gummies, I'm talking about anything related to candy and or functional food. So candy bars laced with CBD or cannabinoids, lollipops, gum. You think about, I see these honey sticks with the CBD in it. They're becoming popular because I think some people go, yeah, I can take a pill, I can take a liquid tincture, but I want gummies, or I want something along those lines. So we decided, can we make a gummy? Because the thing about the gummy is fun, but the taste often is not, because of what it takes to make the gummy. And for us, no, it's got to be natural, right? Can't put any gelatin in there. That's why the gummies are vegan. Can't put any GMOs, can't put any artificial colors or flavors. And so we said, okay, what can we do? And it took a while. It wasn't right away. And so we were able to get 10 milligrams. We call it broad spectrum panoramic hemp extract. Panoramic just means that we're capturing as much of what's in the hemp plant as possible. Low levels of THC, 0.01%. People need not worry. And in one of the gummies, the elderberry, we actually put a patented form of elderberry. It's called Eldermune. It's likely in some other immune products on the market. We don't have the exclusive on that, but it's really a concentrated form of elderberry where 100 milligrams of Eldermune is equivalent to over 4,000 milligrams of whole elderberry. So it's highly potent. Elderberry, you know, I remember when I moved here 2.5 years ago, here meaning North Carolina, I had never seen so many elderberry syrups in my life. It was like everybody had an elderberry syrup. I'm like, what's the
Loaded
big
with sugar. I saw one last night, 27 grams of sugar per serving.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And so some of them are done better than others, and some are more natural, and some are local farms, which is awesome, right? Because then the local stores support the local farms. But this whole idea of elderberry has become very, very known. In fact, there was a study done, a survey done, I think it was about a year and change ago. And it was done but for customers. And they were asked, what are the top, say, 5 immune ingredients that you're familiar with? Not necessarily the best selling, but what for you, if I were to say to you, what do you know the top 5 to be immune supplements? And number 1, still tried and true forever and ever, vitamin C. Number 2, vitamin D, ideally vitamin D3. Number 3 is zinc. Number 4 is probiotics. And number 5 is elderberry. So it's recognizable as an immune support because of the anthocyanins, the antioxidant contents that support the immune system. So we make a gummy that's got this concentrated elderberry along with 10 milligrams of CBD and other cannabinoids. And we use actual elderberry for the flavoring of that gummy. And it's got a nice mouthfeel. People can just,
it's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious, right? So, you take 1, maybe 2 a day. We have a cherry flavor. We call it summer cherry. We use actual cherry that's been dried up into a powder in the gummy. And so that makes it taste good. We have a canister that's 30 of them, and it's for $30. So it's more economical, but people can take them. They can travel with them. They don't have to worry about, is the TSA at the airport going to stop you? And it's just a neat way for adults. And I say adults because gummies, the thought process is, I'll give it to my 5-year-old. Only with, consultation with your pediatrician, right? So these are intended for adults, and parents need to make that decision. Do I give it to my 15-year-old who, probably needs some CBD or needs some support for calming and focus? That's something that's a personal decision, but these are adult formulas, and we have 2 of them. And I think that they're developing other flavors down the road.
Wonderful. And are there any thoughts that you have on chewing a gummy to enhance its effectiveness? I've noticed, and I don't know the science behind it, that customers that are buying chewable or gummies are feeling a little bit more effect than when they take a pill.
Yeah, there is some evidence that because the chewing of it or the dissolving it, I prefer the dissolving, but some people chew it, they like it and then it goes away. Anything you put in the mouth is ideally going to be absorbed at a faster rate. It may not be any more potent, but you'll feel it sooner in the process, right? You think about, years ago, I remember, I think it was Dr. Sinatra, the cardiologist. Right, you remember Dr. Sinatra, right?
Of course I do, yeah.
Yeah, you and I are old, yeah,
I just watched a 3-hour webinar with him in it.
Okay, yeah, we're OGs from back in the day, so I remember. And he would say he was big on CoQ10. Oh, yeah. And he promoted a certain line, I forget what it was, and these little
gels.
Okay, that's it. Yep. And he said, if you need immediate energy, bite into it and let it absorb through the mucosal membrane. I said, but there's no lipase there. How could that be? You know what? I tried it and it worked. So anything that you can put in your mouth and let sit there, melatonin sublinguals, B12 sublinguals, all get into the system faster. Are they more potent? I don't know if that's the case, but you'll feel the effects. You tend to feel the effects sooner than if it has to go through the stomach, then into the small intestine, then the liver has to get involved, then maybe 45 minutes later, you start to feel an effect. Now, I'm a fan of both. Some things are harder to do sublingually. Like, for example, ashwagandha doesn't taste good. I've bit into
I've done it, but woo, yeah.
Yeah, I've bit into our stress formula and I won't ever do it again. Note to self, don't chew the.
That and andrographis. If you want a nice bitter little, whoo, yeah.
Exactly. So some things may not be able to be put into a chewable or like a gummy. But yes, I think it makes sense that you're going to get the effects sooner than if you're swallowing it and then having to go through the digestive process.
Wonderful. And we are also selling the smaller packs. So if someone wanted to try it out before they bought the canister, and for all my loyal listeners or newbies, we are giving an extra 10% off today on the Hemp Fusion products. So if this is interesting you and you want to try it, you'll get 20% off at the register. And again, I support everything I sell, so I really do know you're going to love it. So definitely want to give that a try. Any closing comments about Hemp Fusion before we go on to Probiotics, buddy?
We're always looking to expand. We were thinking at some point, and maybe we still will do something about it, something for pets, dog chews, for example, because a lot of pet owners are wanting to support their pets in that area. We are always looking to, like the little My Bugs, the chewable probiotic. That's a probiotic, so that's a different thing. But we're always looking to expand and to look at what the market is calling for. And if it's a functional drink, then maybe we get into that. Maybe if it's a candy bar, when I say candy bar, I'm going to say that loosely, but a bar that maybe we'll get into that. Right now, I'm not on that side of the company. I'm on the education.
Jason gets bored easy, so he's probably already formulating things.
Probably already, yeah, exactly.
But it is true. I find that many of my customers will invest in their pets' health before their own. And so we do have a lot of people that share their CBD product. Is there any warnings on these gummies if a pet was to get their hands on it or the paws on it? There is, about
that's a good question. I don't know. I know that there's certain things that pets shouldn't have. There was one concern at some point that rosemary oil could be problematic for dogs. So I wouldn't give the gummies to a pet, at least not yet. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, sometimes they share their straight oils with them.
Yeah.
All right, sounds great. So Probiotics, it's doing really well at the store. Definitely Jason really did well with this one. And so can you tell our listeners, like, they're newbies on probiotics, because sometimes it's just as confusing as the whole CBD market. There's so much out there, and I really don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about the skincare line. It's the only skincare line I sell. I use it. It's the only line I sell. People ask me all the time, why don't I have more choices? And it's because I really love it. and I love the ingredients. So I definitely want to touch on that. Okay.
Sure. When it comes to probiotics, I think kind of like CBD has fallen into this same category. It appears to some individuals that it's a commodity. Like, what's the big deal? I can get probiotics at the pharmacy, right? At the mass market pharmacy. I can even probably buy it at the big box store. I can get online. Probiotics are probiotics. So why should I pay $25 at Joanne's store when I can get it for $10 somewhere else? Here's the thing, as with anything, the quality of sourcing, the manufacturing process, the testing for things like GMOs and corn and mag steroid and things of that nature all add a cost to the product. But when we talk about probiotics in general, it is not just simply from when you have an issue. I think some people also believe that, well, I'm not constipated. I don't have any diarrhea issues. I don't have any gas and bloat. Why do I need a probiotic? You may not. However, the idea of probiotics expand far beyond that. I mean, immunological support, gut brain health, there is a connection between our brain and our gut, and they are constantly communicating. When you think about the production, they're called metabolites, but these are constituents that are produced in the fermenting of food that the probiotics do every time you and I consume a meal. So the better food we consume, the better nutrients and metabolites they produce. And I'm talking about amino acids, antioxidants, alpha lipoic acid, superoxide dismutase, short chain fatty acids, bacteriocins. All of these are part of the benefits that beneficial bacteria provide. Not to mention, and people don't get the connection sometimes, proper weight management. And I'm not here to say that if you take probiotics, you're going to lose 30 pounds. That's not the point. Thing is, folks they've done studies on both mice and humans. The gastrointestinal system, the microflora, the population, is vastly different, has been found to be vastly different in folks that are struggling with their weight, either overweight or obese, versus those that are considered more normal weight or skinny. Now, there's other factors as well. There's hormones, there's a bunch of other things. Women, unfortunately, after birth, tend to carry more weight, and it's harder for them to get it off as far as guys. But it's absolutely necessary. Anyone wanting to turn the ship and try and shed a few pounds with their exercise, with their proper eating, maybe slightly more of a plant-based diet. You don't have to be a vegan or vegetarian, but utilizing probiotics to make sure that there are little to no imbalances, dysbiosis, leaky gut issues in the gut, goes a long way. So when people say, should I take a probiotic on a regular basis? I say, well, do you take vitamin E for heart health on a regular basis? Do you take omegas for brain health on a regular basis? You don't have any issues in those areas, but you take it because it's good for you. Same thing can be said with beneficial bacteria. So don't wait for the car to break down and then bring it to the mechanic. Like, go to the mechanic regularly, have them tune up the car, and then that way you're less likely to break down.
Yep. Prevention is always the best attitude.
Right.
So the elderberry in the probiotic, that is doing really well. And you touch on elderberry with the gummies. So can you tell us why Jason decided to go that way on that one?
Yeah, once again, because with elderberry, you can speak to immune, and in our probiotic, it's part of what we call the Total Care family of products. So Total Care has everything that all the other probiotic formulations that we produce have. It's got the probiotics. It's got the prebiotic, which is inulin from chicory root. It's got electrolytes for proper hydration. We talk about protect, feed, and hydrate. That still extends to the Total Care. But it's got one other component that I do believe that in the years to come, and I don't think it's too many years down the road, maybe another 3 to 5 at the most, you're going to be hearing more about something called a postbiotic. And a postbiotic is really just the environment that the probiotics grow in and all of these metabolites that they produce. Like when you look at a bowl of kimchi, Korean cabbage, you're looking at the cabbage that's been, fermented and broken down. What you don't see is a team of beneficial bacteria that cause that fermentation, plus all of those metabolites that they produce. And that's the reason why fermented foods and beverages are beneficial for us. So the Total Care line of products, the one particularly that has the immune, it's the Total Care Immune, it's got the elderberry in there, and the elderberry, same amount that's in the gummy, by the way, it's 100 milligrams. So equivalent to 4,000 milligrams of whole elderberries. And it's just another way to support the immune system, because as we all know, and we've learned, 70 to 80% of immunological function in the body is actually housed in the gut. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of lymphoid tissue in the gut. If you ever notice, and I'm sure you've seen this as a proprietor of a health food store, folks with digestive issues often tend to have immunological issues. And the reverse is true too. They come in saying, I have, immunological issues. Oh, and by the way, do you have anything for digestion? The two are correlated. So all we're trying to do is generally support the gastrointestinal system. Elderberry makes sense, probiotics make sense, and this postbiotic component, it's just an extra layer of support.
And there are many conversations I'm having about postbiotics already. I love it. So many customers are coming in and asking about it. So I absolutely love it because it's the whole story. The gut is still a little bit of a mystery to us. And I think as holistic as possible is the way to go. But the Probiotics probiotics also take an extra step to make sure that what they're buying off the shelf is what the label claims. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so our delivery system is key to that, right? So we don't have any unique probiotics. I mean, we have specific ones for trying to address specific health issues, the women's health, the colon support. But I tell folks, it's kind of the analogy. I'm big on analogies. It's not how much you make, a week. Like your employer says, I'll pay you X amount of dollars. It's how much you save and are able to put into the bank, right? And it's the same thing with probiotics. Not how many you start out with. People get stuck on CFUs, colony forming units. Well, 100 billion CFUs has to be better than 20, and it's only $3 more because it's on sale. Yeah, it's good if they survive. But if there's not a delivery system that's been validated by science, Dr. Jason Mitchell really, did his due diligence on this, then 100 billion CFU formula actually can work less well than a 20 billion CFU that has these this protective delivery system. So we have one, it's called MacTrek 3D. Just think of the 3 layers of defense: protect against stomach acid with this seaweed that we have, brown seaweed, help to feed the bacteria because they replicate rather fast when they activate with prebiotic inulin, and then make sure that the activation, the waking up from their slumber is properly done with electrolytes. So the 3 things, protect, feed, and hydrate, allow us to do formulas that never go above 20 billion. Now, in some cases, do people need more? Yes. In rare cases, absolutely. And we tell people maybe you double up if you need to, or take a higher form. Like if you just came out of the hospital and you've been administered antibiotic IV for several days, you're going to need higher levels, like in the 400, 500 billion for several days. But that is not the norm. Most individuals would not do well with that consistently. So for us, we guarantee that if it says 20 billion or if it says 10 billion, we guarantee that when you're consuming it, that's exactly what you're getting.
Okay, sounds great. And I know it's super easy to use, shelf stable. They don't have to deal with refrigeration. And I always keep my store right at 72, 73, just to keep it nice and fresh.
Right.
All right, awesome. And so let's, are there any other comments about the pills? I want to make sure we talk about skincare.
The only thing I would say that there is some evidence, didn't come from us, but we've seen some evidence that if you take a probiotic at night before you go to bed, it doesn't matter. If you go to bed at 9, then take it at 8:30. If you go to bed at midnight, take it at 11, 11:30. But there seems to be some evidence that if you take a probiotic at night, as long as it has some sort of mechanism for higher survival rates, like ours, for example, there seems to be better outcomes. And the theory behind that is at night, things slow down. You tend to not have, your gastric juices, particularly acid, is not ramped up like it would be in the middle of the day. And the probiotics have more time to replicate, like 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4 every 30 minutes. So there's more time. And I have some people, handful, but some people say, I swear by taking it at night and I see the difference. So I would just share with that. Now, you don't have to.
Great tip. That's a great tip because I tell a lot of people to use things at night because that's when the body is kind of recycling, cleaning, rejuvenating. So
Right. Yep.
Great tip. All right. That's wonderful. Well, I hope all my listeners realize that the skin is also an organ, the largest living organ, and it's really important that we don't put things on that are toxic. So, and there we go, the Provolone skincare line. Absolutely love it. So tell me about that line.
We're not a skincare company, but Dr. Jason said, look, if we're going to do something for skincare, we have to do it at a foundational level. There are many great companies out there, names that you would know. I think of Marie Borland, and
$100 a bottle.
yeah, well, yeah, that's, yeah, you know, and I am a fan of that. You usually, you know, get what you pay for kind of thing, but they're a reputable company, been around forever. And, but they are doing really good stuff, but it's kind of like more hyaluronic acid. It's collagen. It's those things which are not bad, but that's already been done, right? So we wanted to do something foundational. And I don't know how Dr. Jason came across this, but this was this German study several years ago, so it's not brand new, where he saw that a particular strain of bacteria, and I'm not saying it's the only strain that can do this, but we found this one strain of bacteria. It's called Lactococcus ferment lysate. It's from a Lactococcus lactis. It's the strain itself is used in the fermentation of cheeses and buttermilk and you know, food stuff. So it's not foreign to us. But when taken and when lysated, fancy word for rupturing, like so we can get on the inside, the contents on the inside, the cytoplasm, when applied to the skin at a 3% solution, it initiated the skin's ability, the skin's immune system, which is the same immune system we have internally, to initiate a few really remarkable things. The shedding of skin cells, the turnover rate increased. So, you know, believe it or not, you know, we're looking at dead skin cells when you look at the back of your skin. So we're shedding, we're dropping little crumbs everywhere we go. So if we can shed that faster so newer skin shows up, that's a benefit. Embedded within the layers of the skin are protein or peptides called antimicrobial peptides. These are defenders. I liken them to sentinels that guard a building. You know, the more sentinels you have, the better defenses you have. So increase the number of these AMPs. And then the lipid barrier, which is the very bottom layer of the skin cells, was functioning better. It didn't allow for moisture loss. It didn't allow for any intrusion of toxins. And because of that, the outcome, the visible outcome would be that you see the skin that's more youthful looking, more even tone, more moisturized, softer. And it typically happens 10, 12, 14 days after continual use, once, maybe twice a day. So we came out with the skincare line. There's a cleanser, day cream, night cream, a serum, and then an eye cream. But it's just, that's the concept. We're trying to get foundationally support to the skin by stimulating the immune system without damaging the skin in the first place.
And the prices are really affordable.
Yeah.
And I always had $3 off coupons as well. So if anyone wants to try out the Provolone skincare line, I highly recommend it. I really do love it. You'll get 10% off if you mention the radio show, as well as a $3 off coupon. So it will probably be the most affordable skincare you've purchased, but with the results of those high-end lines. So I would definitely try it out. The cleansing gel, buddy, I only wear mascara usually. I don't usually do too much makeup, but it's it takes even the mascara off. It's incredible. And normally I'm so sensitive with my eyes that I feel irritation right away from normal even all the health food ones. I feel like a little stinging. With the cleansing gel, I can really feel like it's in my eye and it still doesn't bother me. Like I'll really like rub it on my eyelash line to get the mascara off. Nothing, no irritation at all. I absolutely love it.
Which is amazing because it's a really clean product too, right? There's no phthalates, no parabens, no glycols of any kind. And, and Cliff and I are a little short on experience here, but when it comes to makeup, my understanding is from some of my female colleagues is that when you apply, say, the day cream or the serum, it actually is a great base for applying makeup if women want to do that.
Well, your skin is just radiating. So, well, I definitely, I've had no problems with sensitivity. I love the results. It's not too oily, not too dry. It's just like perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I love it. Well, so If anyone just joined us, you missed a really good show, so you have to catch it on YouTube later. So Buddy discussed this morning hemp fusion, the hemp gummies that are absolutely delicious, really good for daytime or nighttime use. And then as well as probiotics, we have their line and skincare. So you definitely want to come to the store today because you can get an extra 10% off of the supplements. So a total of 20% off when you mention the show. And with the Probulin skincare products, you can get 10% off and a $3 coupon to make it super affordable. And the products last a long time. My cleansing gel, I think, lasts 3 months normally. I just do like one little drop and there we go. And sometimes if I do in the shower, it's like, I'll try to wash as much as I can with that one drop.
Yeah, sure.
Really good stuff.
Sure.
But we do have a couple minutes, Buddy. Let's talk for a second about the Probulin woman versus the daily. If if they're kind of like thinking, oh, should I bring one home to share with my husband, or should I do separate? Where should their decision making lie?
So the daily care, which is the one in the blue and the white box, is at 10 billion CFU, and it's intended for the entire family. Like you can give it to grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, college student, kids over the age of 12. It's got a nice balance of both lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. Lactobacilli, generally speaking, support the upper GI, while bifido is mostly lower GI. So that can be for the entire family. And I've had family members who look at the 10 billion and go, why, this is really low. Is it going to work? And it does for issues like one in particular, constipation issues. The women's health is more lactobacilli focused because what we're trying to do is support the urogenital system. We're also trying to support a healthy pH in the vaginal canal. And so for that, you need more lactic acid producing bacteria like you have Lactobacillus acidophilus, Rhamnosus, reuteri, those plantarum in the women's formula.
Right. And I also have the urinary tract, the UT women's. How would that differentiate?
So that is more specific for individuals. Usually it's women, unfortunately. You ladies, bear the brunt of these health issues more so than we do as guys. But and it's anatomy and physiology. Your ureter, once again, not to be inappropriate, but your ureter, your urethra is shorter, so it's easier for bacteria to travel up and create an issue. Us guys, not so much. But it's got specific strains of bacteria known to prevent adhesion of bacteria and to promote a healthier pH value. And so because of that,
sold all my females just on that, but I do have to cut you short, Buddy. It is a pleasure, always a pleasure, and I hope to have you back on soon. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Buddy.
Take
All
care.
right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, we have Bert, the naturopath from California, coming on. So you guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition on WPSL. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world on Google Home, Alexa, and the TuneIn app on your smartphone.